Next, we have, I'm at the treasurer, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
No, sorry.
What did I miss?
Oh, no, you're right.
Yeah, okay. All right. This is our selection of the 2019-2020 WSBA treasurer. And I know one governor has submitted materials. I've asked if there are other governors who are interested in this. Dan Clark is in the running. Are there any other governors before we start? I'm looking at you, Paul. Any other governors that are going to run for treasurer or not?
No, I'm not going to run. Dan has my support.
All right. And no other governors. I suggested we put this on the consent calendar, but I think y'all want to vote. And also, I'd like to hear from, who did somebody scream?
This is door squeak.
Oh, okay. All right, hold on. Okay, do you have a question?
I was going to move the nomination of Dan for treasurer.
Okay, and, all right. And I, once again, you jumped out in front of me because before I entertained motions, I thought it appropriate that we hear from our current treasurer who actually sets in the position and has done the work and has done the heavy lifting for the last year. One of the things we neglect quite often is to listen to anybody. We sort of jump to these decisions before we hear from the person who's done the work. So I'd like to hear some of your thoughts, Dan, as you see fit that you'd share with this board, and then we will entertain that motion.
Thanks, Bill. I'll try to be brief since we have a very hotly contested election. Let me take a little personal privilege and say thank you for letting me serve as your treasurer. It's been a privilege. I've not taken it for granted. It's been a good opportunity to try to do my small part to help. Bill asked me to write a little memo about what the qualities of a good treasurer are, and they're in the book, but you know how big the book is. So treasurer is an interesting position in that it's like every single position on this board. It's what you make of it. The reality of it is the formal duties of the treasurer are pretty small, and I'm not going to say it's a figurehead position, but you know, the treasurer doesn't shift money, it doesn't write checks, it doesn't do any of that. You can do the least amount possible by running the budget and audit meetings and assisting staff. If you do that, you're a successful treasurer. I mean, that is the minimum required for the job. It really comes down to what this board wants. I think a treasurer, though, who is just doing that is not fulfilling their true role. I told various people this year I was not going to endorse someone, although that's been our tradition, because I don't like how it has worked out in the past. I don't think people have made endorsements for the reasons I would make an endorsement as treasurer. My feeling was, you know the people who are on the board and you can make your own decision, and I didn't want to cause any influence to it. I was even going to ask Bill if I could vote last. But I will say, though, I do endorse Dan. Any one of the people on this board could be a great treasurer. Anyone who I heard was considering being a treasurer would have been a great treasurer. But I think Dan has a lot of the really important skills for that role. He's a data digger. He wants to get into numbers. He wants to get into the issues. He's a great writer. He's an investigator. And really, your most effective treasurer, who is someone can be at not 50,000 feet, but maybe 10,000 feet, to dig up that information and give it to you in a way you can take action on it. And Dan has been an invaluable help to me as treasurer, finding information so I can help take action in the committee. So I think we're going to be really well served next year with Dan Clark as our treasurer.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. All right, so I got a hand up from the president-elect, but we also have a motion on the table. Can we bring that part of make that part of discussion? All right, so the motion is to elect Daniel Clark, 4th Congressional District, proud 4th Congressional District governor from the state of Yakima. Excuse me, I'm in Washington, sorry. To the treasurer position. That's been seconded. Was that seconded by Kim? Yes, Kim. This is now called for discussion, and we got a hand from Rajiv, and then Jim, you're in the queue. Go ahead. Here.
I like Dan's words, and normally I would have said, even if there's only one candidate, I'd like to force them to stand up there and tell us what they're about. But Dan, being very prescient, wrote us a memo, and I don't know if all of you have read his memo yet. I'm sure you have, because you've all in-depthly studied your BOG book, but his memo was meaningful, and I think it shows the nature of Dan and the quality of Dan and his mental acuity, and I think he's going to take this role seriously. And I appreciate everything Dan said, but we do want a treasurer who isn't just running the budget and audit meeting. We want someone who's working on that committee and inspiring the other members of that committee, listening to the other members of that committee, and digging in deep and putting in a lot of time and effort. And I think Dan Clark is someone who's going to do that, and I'm really looking forward to that. The other thing is the treasurer has another role. The treasurer is actually in the chain of command for chairing this meeting. If for whatever reason the president-elect can't fulfill the role of the president, then the treasurer is in line to chair and run this meeting. So I think it's an honor. You'd be an officer. You're part of the executive committee, and I'm really glad that everyone could come together and support you in this in unity. And I really appreciate everyone who is interested in the job and all the work of all the members of the Budget and Audit Committee, because that's the spirit that's going to enable Dan to do his job right. Because the only thing Dan can really provide is some labor, but the leadership, but it requires all of us to buy in and support him. So thank you, Dan.
Okay, Rajiv. Jim, will you defer for just 1 second? I want to take the governors, and then I'll go to the audience. Okay, so I have Ethan. Any other hands that I can write down?
Yes.
Ethan and Alec. Okay, in that order? Go ahead.
Thanks. As members of this board, we're all volunteers, and I'm inspired that folks are willing to take on additional volunteer responsibilities, including the role as treasurer. I think it's... Oh.
Thanks.
Sorry, I'll say that again. As members of this board, we are volunteers, and I really appreciate that we have members of this board that want to continue and take on additional volunteer responsibilities, including the responsibilities associated with treasurer. So thank you for stepping forward.
Alec.
So last year I was a candidate for treasurer. This year I'm not. But I've served on the Budget and Audit Committee. And I have a number of ideas. But a part of my learning and my growth is leadership is not always leadership if it's not also fellowship. And as I told you last night, Dan, I will support you and do everything I can to assist you and help you and look forward to working with you if I'm once again assigned to be on the Budget and Audit Committee. And I congratulate you, and you'll do a great job.
Thank you, Alec. All right, governors, any additional comments? Yes, Jean.
I just want to say, hello, okay. I just want to say, Dan, from the moment I started working with him, he has been nothing but the most pleasant and helpful governor, and I'm so happy that he's stepping up and wanting to do this. Anytime I had a question, anytime I didn't understand whether we're talking about budgets or what else, he was happy to go and do the research and really kind of do a full analysis and provide me with this pages of information that I didn't even ask for. And he's just happy to do it, and he does it because it's just in him. So I'm so happy, and I support Dan wholeheartedly.
All right, thank you, Jean. We've got Russell, Kyle, and then Kim in that order.
I want to echo Jean's comments. I think Dan has just done a phenomenal job as a governor, and sometimes when there's an election and only one person is running, there can be a sense that, well, you got the position because there was no competition. That is not the case here. I think that you have the full support of the board, not just for this position, but for your role as a governor as well. You keep a lot of us informed, and that's like the part of Gene's comments that I want to echo. After these budget and audit meetings that I don't go to, you send me this paragraphs-long text message. Two things. Number one, wrong medium. If it's more than a sentence, send an email, not a text message. But also, I'm really impressed because you're sending those text messages on a T9 phone that I didn't even know existed anymore. So thank you for keeping me informed on those things, and I get the sense you're keeping all of us informed on those things, and I know you will continue to do that good work as treasurer.
Thanks, Russell. Kyle.
And I also wanted to echo what Gene said and what Russ said. I'm excited about working with Dan for the next year as treasurer, because his ability to dive into the numbers and pull up information and issues that I'd look at it and completely went over my head. But I've appreciated Dan over the last year looking at these issues, thinking about these issues, and taking them to heart, and then sharing his ideas with others. It's been a tremendous help to me, and I look forward to you as treasurer this next year.
Thanks, Kyle. Kim?
I've known Dan a little bit longer than the rest of you because we went to law school together in Gonzaga, and both of us looked a little bit different then. And he's got the yearbook to prove it right now, if anybody wants to look at that. It's kind of interesting. But I just wanted to point out that this isn't new for Dan. He did this stuff in law school as well, and to the embarrassment of some of the rest of us, because his research was so thorough. It's kind of mind-boggling. I mean, you get these little analyses that he does for stuff on the bog, but you should have seen what he did with property, for instance, something that the FAD 45 or whatever it was, I never did understand, but he was always right up there and did a great job, so I appreciate that. Also, when I was first placed on the Budget and Audit Committee by Brad, I called him up and said, I am not a numbers person. I can't even balance my own checkbook. I went into law because I didn't have to do math. So please don't, put me on the budget and audit. He said, no, we need a different perspective. So I thought, okay. So I went into my first budget and audit meeting thinking, okay, I'm going to try to grasp this. I'm really going to pay attention. And I fell asleep because it's just it's so over my head that I just can't get it. So in the 2 years that I've been on the Budget and Audit Committee, I've been able to synthesize some of the information and understand it. But Dan, I'm telling you, if I'm still in the budget and audit, you got to help me. You got to send me those things. So I really appreciate it. I'm glad you're going to be there. Thanks.
Thanks, Kim. Any other governors? All right, Jim McPherson.
Thank you, Bill. I certainly would echo all the comments that you've made, so I'm trying to make this a little bit more personal. For those who were in the room, I remember when Dan was put onto the BOG, and I, at that time, strongly recommended that you do that. And I don't commonly, sometimes I will tell when there is a vote here of people who are coming onto the BOG, I said that I felt like Dan would be a unique presence and was highly impressed by what I saw and heard and experienced during that. And he has not failed me at all. And the things I will echo is that over the years, watching the treasurers come and go, normally what I notice is that the board tends to sense those people who have that ability to look into detail, and those who are, as Dan B. suggested, are much more of the 35,000 feet people. Dan is more of about a 100-foot person. He is the kind that I think can get easily in and out of the little nuances and cubby holes and make sense out of it. And that makes a huge difference in something that's as complicated as the Treasury position. But I do want to remind you what we heard from Rajiv, I'm pretty sure, is that it's a position that's an executive position. And there's an importance to those positions as you move into the the top part of the border and the bar. And I think, again, Dan is in a unique position to take on that role, and I wholeheartedly support, although I am certainly in the back seats here, but he is not, I mean, if everybody else was running, I think you'd still vote for Dan. That's exactly what I think you would do.
Thank you, Jim. Any other comments? I'm looking around the room. Don't let this time period pass and then say, man, I should have said something. Nobody. All right. Dan. Oh, I thought Rex was going to say something. All right. All right. All right. Everybody knows that Dan actually took over, got on the bog and took over for just a disaster of a governor. And he turned District 4 around in amazing ways. And I joke a little bit about that, but in sincerity, when Dan took over my position when I ran, he threw himself into it wholeheartedly. And I'm not saying that because I think it. I'm saying it because I saw it. I saw it. And more importantly, I heard from members in the 4th Congressional District how amazing Dan was at giving them information. Volumes of information. More information than some people want, but nobody's distressed by it, and they actually are very appreciative of it. So I know without a shadow of a doubt two things. One, you will once again throw your whole heart into this position. And number two, you will do a fantastic job, beyond a shadow of a doubt. So I don't, unless you all split your vote, I don't get a vote. So I know that's not likely to happen. But I wholeheartedly endorse Dan for this position, and I know he will do an absolutely fantastic job. So, that being said, I think we're ready. We're going to call for a vote. Unless, did you have something, Carla?
Well, no, except to say that I echo everything everyone has said about Dan, including your comments now, Bill. I think Dan will be an excellent treasurer, and I look forward to working with him.
I want that recorded, that Carla echoed my comments. That's a first, and actually it's a step in the right direction. We are doing amazing. That retreat was actually amazing. All right, let's start with Dan. We're going to do you last, Dan. Yeah. Nope, you're last. Yeah, I know you already played your hand, but that's okay. So we're going to go over here to Chris. We're voting on the motion to.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'll abstain.
Fantastic. Good man, Dan.
Aye.
Thank you, Gene. PJ.
Aye.
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 And then Brian.
Abstain.
Same. Aye. Okay, so with the one abstention by Daniel Clark himself, the motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. So, go ahead, Kim.
I'm just want to point out that you didn't give Doug a hug, and he might feel left out.
Also, the tradition of all the drinks tonight are on the treasurer, the new treasurer-elect. So.
Okay, Brian, I apologize. I was told that I may have gotten your vote wrong. Were you an aye or an abstention?
Hi, Bill. I was an abstention.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. I had you marked as an aye. Abstention. Thank you, Brian. Okay, so we have two abstentions. All right.
Bill,
Yes.
I just have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Just looking at the new lineup, the president coming in is from Whatcom County. The president-elect is from Clark County. And the treasurer is from Yakima County. And I'm not quite sure, but I'd like to know, just in terms of at least people talking about Seattle-centric or whatever, is this the first time, and it may be one of the first times, that we have geographic diversity in leadership of this sort?
Yeah. The short answer is we don't know, so I'm just going to make it up and say yes.
There you go.
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and also the immediate past president will be from Yakima County, so the entire makeup will Seattle-centric. I think, raise the flag. All hail to the chief. The king is dead. Yeah, it's a new day. All right. Thank you.